All right. All right. So today we have podcast the Maverick Times podcast number 0083. And today is the pre-election day show. We're going to address what, just like we've told y'all, during early voting, we don't mention who we voted for, who we're going to vote for. We don't give recommendations until the day before election day. Again, we do that to avoid any perceived bias. Um, you guys have always had the confidence in the Maverick Times to give you the truth. No matter what anybody else says, it's the truth is the truth. The truth cannot be changed. Now, what can be done is twisting, half truths, um, like we have been seeing, especially from a certain campaign. But one thing I did want to express before I came on here was that it's very important, especially as anybody that does what we're doing. And if you're doing news media, this, that, or the other, right? It's important to always have your credibility. Your credibility is what is like a trust between you and the people that are viewing your content, your news. Um, I think that we have a very great rapport with Maverick County voters, Eagle Pass voters, taxpayers, where they understand that if there's anything that is being said, that the truth will always come out from the Maverick Times. And we'll always ask those hard questions because that's what you guys have grown accustomed to, is for us to not filter, not pre-program, not have a list of what people or these interviewees, whoever we interview, we always give you a sense of the truth, and we don't provide any of our interviewees beforehand any kind of questions. So when we come out and we say that, we take big pride in saying that, because I think that there's a lot of news medias out there in Eagle Pass, and I think that everybody has their niche, right? But one thing that you have always been able to depend on with the Maverick Times is the truth and actual documents, actual backup, not just saying that we provide pruebas or whatever, or proof, but we actually are able to show you, and we have time and time again, to the point where we have built a credibility with you guys that, if we're saying something, it it's because we've seen it, we've talked about it, it's there, it's not anything that's made up. I know earlier today we were viewing and today's show, guys, is about talking about the candidates, right? recommendations, who we should go on. This is actually a ballot this is actually Jerry Morales's campaign ballot. And we're using this as a guide, right? But we are very big on telling you guys what's the truth and what it is. Show it, don't just wave a paper around. Show what? Let me just say, it's funny. Supports Jerry as much as he does this person. He's in all the Maverick Times lives. Uh, I just think that's funny. But yeah, it's a ballot. We're not waving it around. It's a ballot. I said it's a Jerry Morales ballot that he was passing around, and we're gonna give our recommendations, and we're gonna actually show you who Jerry Morales is campaigning for, and we'll give you our opinion as far as why he's campaigning for these certain people. Is that all right with you, Alfredo? Can we proceed? Is that all right with you? Anyways, so like we said, we were gonna give you. We didn't want to say, all this stuff until right before election day, and the reason with that is that the majority of people have voted already. I believe it was. I had it written down. Let me get it for y'all. The number I have is 5,648. So early voting had 5,648 as per our source, right? The party. So Alfredo says, "I'm my own man. I can do whatever I want." After he just says, "Show it, don't just wave." You misspelled wave, by the way. A paper around. You see, and that is consistent from Jerry Morales campaign supporters is that they can't spell, they're unaware of actual history, and three, they stick to certain narratives that I don't know if it's coming down from Jerry, it's coming down from Queta, if it's coming down from David Salcedo, if it's coming down from Obi Salinas, we don't know. But that's why we generalize and say that it's the Jerry Morales campaign. Because if anybody wins an award for misinformation, for misguiding voters, for deceiving voters, you know who would win? Not a gold. Who would win a platinum trophy? That would be the Jerry. Now, one thing before we get into the recommendations of this campaign is we want to address a few things that Miss Queta Diaz or Enriqueta Diaz, Enriqueta Hale, Enriqueta Carpenter, Enriqueta Lane, whatever the name may be, she's had a few. Um, we want to address some of the misinformation that she gave everybody through her life. Now, what we've noticed in her lives is that many people her audience continues to dwindle down. Um, and we don't think that that's a coincidence. There's a reason why her audience continues to dwindle down, get less and less every time she goes on live, is that people are starting to see that the person that says she's for the people is not really for the people. she's for Jerry Morales and his campaign. And I think that a lot of people get turned off at that fact when she's saying, I'm for the people, I'm trying to inform the people. Um, I just want the best what's for the community while wearing a Jerry Morales campaign shirt. So, anyways, she went on a live. It was a brief live earlier today. And one of the things that she said, again, this is how I can tell you that she has been lying about many of the things that she says during her campaign or during running Jerry's campaign or cheerleader of his campaign, trying to help him out get votes. Again, that's the difference. For the past 2 weeks, I haven't told you go vote for anybody or I'm asking for a vote from anybody. That's the big difference. But I do want to address some of the things that she says because it needs to get addressed. Lies need to be called out. Lies need to be said like, hey, if this is a lie, they need to be corrected. They need to be corrected. So you have one, Keta saying that I'm running her all around with a camera, following Ramsey, the current judge, for whatever reason. I mean, I don't understand why she's saying that. And let me tell you why she's lying. Miss Enriqueta, she's actually one of my regular visitors there at Maverick County. Everybody knows I work there. It's not a secret. Um, I'm a grant administrator there. I'm very successful in getting grant funding for our community. Something that Jerry Morales knows very well, being a former Precinct 1 commissioner. So you have her saying that I'm following the county judge around with a camera, this, that, the other. Okay. Now, one thing that she doesn't say is that she's a regular visitor of mine. Whenever she's in the building, she'll go by my office. And, I don't even have this luxurious office. I don't even have an office where it's me by myself. I don't have, all these nice little tools and stuff like that. I don't. I mean, I'm not given preferential treatment. I don't have the best of things. I don't even have a vehicle assigned to me. I don't even have a county cell phone assigned to me. So I, I, I mean, I know that she tries to make it out and seem like I'm a preferred or preferent or given preferential treatment, but that couldn't be the furthest from the truth. The truth is that Mesqueta, if I follow around the current judge, Cantu, everywhere with my camera, um, why am I always in my office when you come and see me? Regular. I can tell you that Miss Enriqueta, I don't know, I'd want to say that she visits me a lot more often than, people in my department of planning because the grants are under planning. I want to say that she visits me more, especially her not having to do anything with the county, than people in my own department um, of planning. Again, grants is under planning. Visit me in my office. And I have a small little office. If you visit me, you won't be able to sit down. You're going to have to stand up to talk to me. And that's fine. Like I said, I don't ask for any special privileges. I never have. Um, I do my work with what I'm given. And, even Miss Enriqueta Hell, Carpenter Lane, whatever she goes by, even she can tell you, and she's told me herself, is that Isaac, you're doing a really good job. You're doing a really good job. So the only thing that I can see here, and she mentioned that I have attempted to discredit her, and to you, Miss Enriqueta, I'll say that we're not trying to discredit you whatsoever. The only person that discredits you is yourself. That's the only person that discredits you. Is Enriqueta, Diaz, Hell, Lane, Carpenter. You yourself. There's nothing that I do other than say the truth about anything that you have said. But then you've turned around and made this thing a personal thing where you say that, one, I'm crazy, which I think that many viewers out there, you guys, the community members, I think you can vouch for this, is that who really is crazy, right? Um, a crazy person is defined by somebody that doesn't have any discipline within themselves, that acts out in public, and makes kind of a mockery of any situation that they are in. Last time I checked, I wasn't the one being pulled for screaming out obscenities to the commissioner's court, or in a voting setting, or anything else that you would want to say. I think the people know who they're dealing with. So it's funny that it's to a point where I don't know what her attempt or what her obsession may be with throwing out my name, but she has, again, she says I try to discredit her. The only person that discredits her is herself. The way she acts, what she says, and especially that she continues to spread in this election. And it's no, it's not a secret. It's not a secret how Miss Enriqueta feels about one of the candidates, which is Judge Cantu, when we've seen her in court yell some of the most vile, disgusting, uh, bigotry type of things there in Commissioner's Court. And I witnessed that myself. Now, I'm not going to say that I don't have, or that any of you guys may have certain thoughts about people. You feel or think the way you want about somebody, but not being able to register to where, hey, this is not the place, not have the discipline enough to say, like, hey, I need to not say anything right now or keep my mouth shut right now. That's the definition of what a crazy person is to what a sane person is. And I'm not going to go ahead and I'm not going to keep it all about her, because what needed to be said has been said. And what we want to do is give you guys a recommendation of who you should go out and vote for. Now, the recommendation, I will tell you what it's based on. Our recommendation is based on who has been there. One, it's presence. Presence is important when navigating office. Having the mind to be present at certain meetings, having the mind to be present in certain events, having the mind to be present there for constituents. That is very important. And what we're going on is how we kind of graded these people, how we came about making these recommendations. So, presence. I think presence is one, the top one. Um, to do a good job, you have to be present. Yeah, I mean, even if you do a bad job, you have to be present. Regardless, presence is the number one thing that you need is to be there for people when they need you. Number two, it's your policies. Policies are important. Why? Because your policy, the way you handle yourself, what you dictate of how um, you act, not necessarily in your private life, because whatever private life you want to have, that's fine. You can do whatever you want, but having the mind of having the mind of having the mindset to where you hold yourself by certain standards. And that's what I mean by policy is, your own standards of how you carry yourself. What you do in your private life is what you do in your private life. What you do as a standard in the public life, that is totally game. Number three, honesty is very important. Honesty, I mean, I could have put honesty as number one because honesty is what actually gets you elected. I think people respect more somebody being honest about, whether they know something, whether they don't, or this, and that. But you have at least an initiative to show people that you are honest, you're trustworthy, and you're willing to be upfront with residents, whether they might like something, they might not like something, but you are being honest about it. Number four, integrity. That kind of goes with the honesty. Is that integrity? You have to have some sort of integrity, and this one goes always because it's important to be able to have this integrity to capture voters, to stay consistent with voters, and voters are the ones who vote on your integrity. Now, they don't want, and I'll take this example from state, not state, I'm sorry, Congress. You have a big situation with Tony Gonzalez. His integrity is taking a big hit this election cycle because of things that happened with one of his staffers, where she ultimately committed suicide in a dramatic way. And then it came out several text messages, and it seems like they were having an affair behind, and they were both married. So there's the integrity piece of it. So, given those four things, is how we kind of grade these recommendations that we want to give you. There's some comments on here. Alfredo says, I don't live in EP. I'm not advocating for anyone. You're mistaking me from someone else. I don't know about that. Um, Tony says she's a convicted felon. Mr. Mireles has not gotten over her. Oh, wow. Um, we got CB Los Dos, and she says, a little reminder to the community on discrediting herself. She hated Morales and Salcedo. She would say that they were corrupt ratas for many years. She would make those statements. And is true is that for many years, Enriqueta Diaz, Hale, Lane, Carpenter, she would accuse Jerry Morales, being a part of David Salcedo's commissioner court, of being corrupt, being a rata, being, all these things. It's funny what switched, what changed, why all of a sudden you're rooting for Jerry, lying for Jerry, making a big scene for Jerry. Thank you for sharing that with us. So we have our four things: the presence, the policy, the honesty, and integrity. Guys, we won't keep you too long. We do want to get through this recommendation list as we promised y'all. So again, this was a very nice, it's on laminate paper. So it's a pretty good, like, okay, wow, this cost a lot of money. I remember Jerry saying something about him being outspent in this campaign, but just by looking at the ballots, Jerry was the one bringing all the money in for this campaign through donations of Poncho Nevares of 10,000, see, Richie Law Firm another 5,000. I mean, they were bringing in money. I mean, I know you've seen all the posters all around, the election campaign signs. They're all on wooden stilts, wooden signs. Do you know that that takes money to do that? So it's important to notice that one, bring money like that and you spend a lot of money like that, the question always comes up: are you trying to buy an election? And that's the same question with anybody that has high uh, high number of donations, especially for a Maverick County judge position. This is not a state representative position. This is not a congressional position. This is a county judge position that received, one donation was $10,000. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. All right, so let's get into these recommendations. And I'm not going to get into the federal, I won't get into the state. Again, this is the Democratic election. The reason why we're here in Maverick County and Eagle Pass is obviously because there are multiple candidates in the Democratic election. If the Republican side had multiple candidates, I would be kind of focused on that. Um, One thing I will say, I'll give you my recommendation for state rep District 23. I mean, I'm sorry, United State Representative District 23, which is Congress. Um, I'll be honest, I'm not too fond of the Democrats on the ballot, but in the Republicans, you do have Tony Gonzalez, which is the incumbent. You have Brandon Herrera, that came close to unseating him last year, and you also have Keith Barton. I will tell you guys, if you're voting Republican and you're watching this one, I highly recommend either going with Brandon Herrera or Keith Barton. I would not vote with all the controversy going on right now with Congressman Tony Gonzalez. I would totally stay away from Tony Gonzalez because there could be some reprimand or some censuring that's going to come down from Congress. And if the House of Representatives comes down on him, he's going to lose his funding. And there is no way he's going to be a Democrat representative, whoever does win. And you have Ms. Stout, Gretel Enck, Bruce Richardson, and Santos Limon. Now, again, I don't back any of the Democrats as far as in the state of United States Representative, District 23, Congress. But I do strongly encourage you guys, those are voting Republican, to either vote for Brandon Herrera or to vote for Keith Barton. It's very important to go that way. Tony, I don't think if he were even to win, The Even if he were to win the primaries, he is not going to win come the general election. So we have a comment from Christopher Bigley Delgado that says, "Tell Ramsey to start packing. He knows how the game goes." Okay. So, state representative in the Democrats, you have Eddie Morales. He's running by himself. Again, uh, all bias aside, he being from our community. He's not running against anybody now, but he will be running against somebody in the general election. Um, I can tell you that it's better to have somebody on our side than not. And there has been several House bills from the state of Texas, the Rural Ambulance Grant, Operation Lone Star Grant, and a couple of other more that Maverick County themselves have taken advantage of because Eddie Morales was a co-author for these grants and these legislations that turned into grants. SB 22, I believe he was a co-author as well. So I would say that if somebody's doing good for our community the way he has, let's continue to have him in office. County judge race. So you have three candidates. You have Domingo Mingo Rodriguez, you have Ramsey English Cantu, and you have Gerardo Jerry Morales. So in this one, of course, this is Jerry's. He has himself highlighted. But whenever we go through those four key issues that I was telling you about, which is presence, policy, honesty, and integrity, the only thing that I can say is that as far as Jerry goes, integrity and honesty are pretty much out the door. I don't need to mention why the integrity is out the door. Many of you guys that are watching this right now know why. Um, there was an issue, like, again, all I got to point out is that his own family, Sanilu Morales Gonzalez, they're not supporting his race. And that's very uncharacteristic of the Morales family. And that in its own should tell you something about the integrity of Jerry Morales running for county judge. Honesty. There's been a lot of stuff that's come out from his campaign that has not been truthful. Now, I don't know if it's a thing where he is saying these things knowing that he's lying about what he's saying or he's misleading everybody about what he's saying or he's not knowledgeable about what he is saying. And I think either way, just misleading the people, I think that that's a big red flag. And again, it does not pass our scorebook here to honesty. The next one on the book would be policy. Now, this is where Jerry might get a few ticks. He says a good game, but again, whenever you're in talking about policy and what you do or what you're gonna do, it's a lot different if you do not have that honesty and integrity. If you do not have those foundations, how are you able to build a solid policy on what you're going to do? Because he can tell you he's going to do one thing, like many of us have discovered that he says or he hasn't said he's against Puerto Verde. Queta Diaz says he's against Puerto Verde. What he says is that you need to visualize Puerto Verde. So by mean you're in support of or you don't mind. It's not that you're against it. Again, that's where this integrity and honesty comes into play. And then if you don't have integrity or honesty in our scorebook, it's hard to believe the policy. Presence. Now, he's been there, a lot there in the elections and everything. But the presence that I'm a little more concerned about as far as Jerry Morales goes is the 20 plus meetings that he missed the past year alone there at Commissioner's Court. Even missing the most important vote or what he's building his whole platform on, and he was absent for the Puerto Verde resolution. Now, why would he be absent? Why not? If you're against Puerto Verde, why not vote for the resolution? Why he's not against Puerto Verde? And he missed a lot of voting on Commissioner's Court. And I understand many people want to say, well, Commissioner's Court is more to this side. He's the only one voting. It doesn't matter. You show up because the voters selected you to voice your vote, cast your vote. They want you to be there to support them. And the truth is that Jerry Morales missed over 20 commissioners court meetings the past year because he did not want to represent you, precinct 1 voters. So we are not recommending you vote for Jerry Morales. Rodriguez Jr., we did not hear very much from him throughout the campaign. There were some clips, some sound bites. Um, you know, we didn't really get to know this candidate either. But I will tell you that Paco says, do you have a position on Puerto Verde hidden? If he didn't vote, he can tell Garibay he is for it, and then at the same time tell, yeah. And I think what Paco is saying there is, a very reasonable way to think. Is that if Jerry Morales says or doesn't show up for the vote, say, hey, yeah, I'm with you, Mr. Garibay, and then go back to the constituents, say, oh, I think we need to visualize Puerto Verde, right? And then you can have Quetadillas, Hell, Carpenter, Lane lobby for you to try to convince voters that you need to be elected to stop Puerto Verde. But that's not what Jerry Morales is going to do. And that's why he's not getting recommended by us. The next one would be Rams English Cantu. Let's see, we have another question here before we move on. Genuinely asking on the video of Queta harassing the vehicle from a company contracted by the person seeking re-election, wouldn't it be biased and quietly covering up illegal misuse of public funds? Bianca, um, why would that be covering up illegal misuse of public funds though? I'm struggling to make that connection. Now, I mean, you're allowed to go vote by law, given at least an hour by your work employer or your employer to go and vote. How would that quietly covering up illegal misuse of public funds, how does that come into play? Um, Technically, it's like they already have been paid. What do you mean technically that they've already been paid? Is this something the company is doing for all citizens or just those who are voting for the person running? Okay. I'm sorry, Bianca, but your message is kind of all over the fucking place. Um, it is something the company is doing for all citizens. Not all citizens are running for election. You are aware of that, right? Um, this is honestly a question to understand. I'm trying to understand your question, but I cannot make any sense of your question. You're saying that contracted by a person seeking re-election wouldn't be biased and quietly covering up illegal misuse of public funds. Can you tell me an example of what you think that an illegal misuse of funds is being done? Because you're asking a question, but yet you're not being like throwing accusations out, but you're not pinpointing what it is you're actually trying to say. Now, what I do know is that a company is contracted, right? That went through the proper request for proposals, which is a bid. They went through a bid, and I do know that the company showing up does not necessarily mean that they're going to vote one way or the other. It just shows that the company is out there and they are voters. Now, that's a lot of misconception. Like, Jerry had all the sheriff's office like show up and everything like that. I can guarantee you that not all of them are voting for Jerry. Some of them will vote for Ramsey, maybe some for Mingle, but just because they're voting one way or the other. And the way you're saying it is as if Judge Cantu was the only one that hired those people. It is really incorrect because it's a commissioner's court that passes this. It is an auditors that see these bids and qualify these bids. And then there's so many people that have to see this before it even gets approved. So this needed to be approved by the auditors. This needed to be approved by the county judge's office, and ultimately the vote goes to commissioner's court as a whole. So unless you want to be more specific on the covering up of illegal misuse of public funds, which is just kind of vague and I don't know, I don't want to say misleading, but it's kind of vague about what you're saying. I would ask this of you. Do you think that Keta was harassing people by showing up and like having a camera right where that's what I was trying to understand to get clarification on. Okay. Okay, well, I hope I clarified everything up. One question I have for you is that do you think that Miss Enriqueta Hale Diaz Carpenter Lane, do you think that what she was doing towards that company, do you think that that was harassment whenever she went and like put her phone like trying to see who was there in the window and all that? Do you think that's voter harassment or voter intimidation? I'm really curious. And anybody else that wants to answer that question, please do. So you have a district clerk here, right? You have district clerk. There's two people going because Sandy is actually an employee of the district clerk's office. And it seems that she has garnished a lot of support within her own department. And, whenever you see people rising from your same old department, it's usually a reason. It's not something to ignore. So our recommendation here, I will say, Mr. Vielma has been there a while. He knows the ropes of what he's doing. The interesting thing about it is that Sandy Kid also knows what she's doing because she's actually working it. And I can say that there is a difference between somebody supervising something and somebody working something. So I would recommend her, even though I really don't support who she got close to with this political issue, because I mean, I'll say it honestly. She's here highlighted along with um, in Morales's ballot. I would have picked probably a better campaign partner than Jerry Morales for her, but sometimes you can't explain why people do things. But if she and what it looks like is that she has a lot of support from her offices, which is the district clerk's office, from all of her coworkers, and it seems that there's a reason for that. So she's actually going to be our recommended person there. County Clerk's Office, there's only Ms. Sarah Montemayor. County Treasurer's Office, we have Rito Valdez. I would say that I would vote or recommend Mr. Valdez. Mr. Valdez, I can tell you, in whenever I deal with him in my work with the county, has been more than workable. I can say that he's a person that cares about what he does, and I have to deal with him for certain things with the grants that I have to do with, and I have never had one single trouble. This gentleman shows up to all the commissioners' court. This gentleman, if something's needed, all I got to do is find him, talk to him face to face, and I've never heard him say, no, I can't do this, no, this, that, or the other. All I hear him say is, you tell me what you need, and we'll get it done. And I know that anything can get bottlenecked and prolonged. So it's very important that we continue to vote for people in office that are go-getters, that are doers, that get things done, rather than push stuff aside and let stuff stack on their desk. So I would definitely say that. Paco says, my favorite part about Jerry and his followers are how they're saying that Jerry had the lake in tip top shape, but forget Google Maps exists. So we have shown how he didn't maintain the dog park, how he didn't maintain the splash pad, and the walking and jogging trail has gone to shit. Yeah, I would say that. Instead of fixing the splash pad or dog park, he removed it and built over budget an amphitheater. Yeah, Paco is absolutely right with that comment because they spent money on a dog park. They spent money, and this is David Saucedo and Jerry Morales. They were part of the same commissioner's court. And what Paco is pointing out is that they spent all this money for a dog park, they spent all this money for a splash pad, and then they end up removing all that for a amphitheater that went from 2.2 million to 5.6 million. And Jerry Morales will be the first one to tell you that that's his biggest accomplishment. You know, if I was a contractor and my biggest accomplishment was a bloated amphitheater that got rid of other amenities and that came over 150% over budget, I wouldn't be saying that that's my best work. And that's just the honest truth. So I'm glad you pointed that out, Paco. Much appreciated. ZB says we wouldn't have to worry about being recorded and blasted on social media. It's definitely harassment. Yeah, that's going back on what Bianca was saying. Is that I mean, when you go to vote, you go to vote to express yourself and to make this vote in secrecy. That's the way the law says, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But whenever you make it about who you're voting for and sticking cameras in people's faces, trying to see who's in a car driving, I mean, unless you're doing it to both sides, where we never saw Miss Queta do a live pointing her camera or her phone into the limo that was driving people in. We never saw her question why an illegal an illegal individual that was detained by border patrol, why were they why wasn't she all over social media? See where the bias comes into play here, guys, is that you cannot be for the people when you're wearing a campaign shirt, which she continues to wear every single day for the past 2 weeks, is a Jerry Morales t shirt, not being biased. I mean, being biased and being one sided towards the Jerry Morales campaign. What I would ask is that what was she promised by the Jerry Morales campaign? And if Jerry Morales is out there, the candidate, I would ask him, be honest, be truthful. We'll give you more honesty and integrity points if you tell us what it was that you promised Ms. Queta Hale, Carpenter, Lane. If you tell us what she was going to get in return for supporting you. Moving forward, you have county commissioner precinct term, so it's going to be a short term for these guys. You have Miss Polith M. Gonzalez. She's actually right here, and she is being supported by the Jerry Morales campaign. Why is she being supported by the Jerry Morales campaign? A new person to politics, somebody that may not be aware how things go, young, go getter maybe, even maybe wanting to prove themselves. I could see that. But I could also see that if I wanted to rule the county and do what I want, I would want commissioners that may not know better, that may not have been around the block, that may, I don't know, go against me. I would want to secure, if I was a tyrant, like we think Jerry Morales is, since he follows in David Salcedo's footsteps, I would think that that is the way he would want to go. And that's the way I would want to go if I was trying to rule commissioner's court, is to go for people that are inexperienced, a little too young for the job, maybe doesn't know too much about how the job is handled, what the needs are. That way I could tell her, tell him what the needs are. This is what we need, this is what we're going to do. You have Mario Cruz, which we interviewed. Mario Cruz, I would say, hit a home run in our interview. He did very well. He told us he has a double master's, so he's well educated. He may be very well aware of how this local government process goes on. Great choice. I would recommend voting for Mr. Mario Cruz. Yolanda Perales Ramon, there's another lady that is experienced in what she does. She's educated. She has a principal. She's a principal right now, um, and she also has experience work as a councilwoman in the city of Eagle Pass. Now, I would recommend voting either Mario Cruz or Yolanda Ramon, just for the fact that they're a little more experienced, a little more nuanced than maybe Miss Polith M. Gonzalez. And now I think what really hurt Miss Polith is siding with Jerry Morales's campaign, and we all know what Jerry Morales's campaign brought to Maverick County. They brought a fraud man from El Valle to come in here and try to influence Maverick County, even though this fraud man is not from Maverick County. And you know the fraud man we're talking about, Obi Salinas. So it's hard for us to recommend anybody that is cited and that agrees with with what is going on with the Jerry Morales campaign. Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1, I can't say anything more better things or better things than Kina Mancha. She's the only one here on the ballot. She will have an opponent in the general election. I would bubble her here in the primaries, even though she's not going against anybody, and she would be my pick to get voted in November in the general election. Mezquina Mancha takes care of her job. She does what she does. There's no one else that has a bigger heart than Mezquina Mancha, from my experience. She was the one that was pushing for the juvenile case manager grant that we secured through the public safety office, and that is an important grant that deals with your children's truancy, prevention, and intervention to make sure our kids are doing what they should be, and if they are not, that they are brought into the system and made sure that they get the necessary attention they need to turn around and start doing things the way they're supposed to. So again, there's a big check mark there for Kina Mancha. Now to the county chair position. You have three people. So you have Rogelio Mancha Jr. We've dealt with this individual many times before. He likes to mention our name here and again every once in a while, and that's fine. You know how it is. But I would say there is a lot of controversy with the gentleman. Too much controversy, so we would rather not touch that. I wouldn't recommend you voting for him. Dean Contreras. Now, it's real funny. This gentleman, we wanted to we wanted to go out. Oh, excuse me. We wanted to go out and we wanted to interview him. Um, Now, it never happened for whatever reason. And we saw that a couple of times he was on our lives. And, this is, again, Dean Contreras is highlighted by Jerry Morales there. He even went as far as endorsing, even though, I mean, he's just a general person in the public. But he went on and he endorsed Jerry Morales. Now, one thing that I would want him to ask is, why did you endorse Jerry Morales? What was your criteria in choosing somebody to endorse? Another thing is that I don't think Dean, because this is the first time he's ever shown up. I can say, at least for Rogelio Mancha, he's been around Politica a little bit, and I think you need to be at least a little bit seasoned to understand how the nuances of how everything works and how you have to kind of navigate the waters of the politica, politics, to be able to be successful. I think that that's an important part of it. There is some benefit when you get an intelligent person that is new to politics, but I don't think that that is Rogelio Mancha. I don't. Dean Contreras, like I said, we're not sure what this person does for a living, and that really isn't too much of it. But I don't think he is very well aware of the situation of what you have to do at the Democratic Party level as far as the chairperson. I mean, it's a lot of responsibility, it's a lot of moving around, it's a job that doesn't pay anything. As a matter of fact, pocket to get a few things. And I don't think that such a young kid like Dean, that again may not understand the nuances of being a Democratic Party chair, um, I don't think he's ready yet. Now, maybe in the future, he might have an opportunity, and I think that that's where he needs to shoot for. But again, this is the theme that we're seeing with Jerry Morales' campaign, is that he is supporting young, inexperienced individuals in certain positions. And in my opinion, if you ask me, I think it's to take advantage of that. To be able to tell them, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And when you're young and when you're gullible, vulnerable, and somebody helped you win an election, these individuals do, you're going to kind of side and kind of like, yeah, no, you're right. Okay, I'll do it your way, because you don't know any better. You haven't been in the fire. You haven't yet established yourself to where you have a backbone in politics. Now, don't get me wrong, maybe they'll surprise us, but whenever you vote for somebody, whenever you put that, little circle that bubble in, we're not voting for surprises. We're voting for sure things. You can't go on voting for, I hope this guy surprises me. I hope this girl surprises me. No. You want to vote and feel confident that you are voting for somebody that is going to get things done. Now, this gentleman, Dean Contreras, is running this election like if he was a state representative, saying he wants affordable housing. And she may not be everybody's cup of tea. I had my issues with her in the past, but issues that you individual issues that you may have with this woman should not and does not overcast what she has done for the Democratic Party. Now, I'm hoping our chair at the Republican Party can do as much as the Democrat Party has done, the chair, because we actually have a regional Democratic Party section out here in Eagle Pass, Maverick County. And that's something that we've never had before. So you have to give your props about what you're voting for when you vote is that proven results matter, getting things done matter, experience matters. And who you align yourself with does matter to an extent, but all those three in the front are extremely important, extremely critical. And then you have, of course, several propositions that come out. It's important, guys. We have the election tomorrow. There in several areas. We'll share that with you in our page, depending on what precinct you are, what section of what precinct. You're going to vote in a certain section. I know in the section I'm at, I would be voting at the Memorial Junior High. So it's not going to be at the multipurpose tomorrow in the election. But it's important if you haven't already voted to get out and vote. Again, we had a 5,600, somewhere around that, which is a low voter turnout compared to 4 years ago, 3 years ago, when we had the other county judge election. Back then, we had a total, including both early voting and election day, around 9,000. Now, I don't see election day going more than 1,500. So that's putting ourselves like around a little over 7,000 votes, which is 2,000 less than what we had last year. Now, the only difference I can say, I know that dealing with these elections is that when people come out a lot and there's a big high voter turnout, that means they want change. When it's a low voter turnout, the way we're having right now, is that people not necessarily want change. But when you have low voter turnouts, it does matter who is the one moving around more, trying to secure votes. Now, I think that there's actually, this is a precinct one ballot. I completely missed Commissioner Precinct 2. We have two candidates out there. We have Miss Roxy Rios. We have Miss Rosie Cantu. So that's an interesting race. Rosie 4 years ago. by Miss Roxy Rios. Um, I would say that you guys voted out Rossi once already, so my recommendation would be to keep it with Miss Roxy Rios. Just for that same reason is that you already have voted out a person in Rosy Cantu. Rosy Cantu before was aligned with David Saucedo, with Jerry Morales. She was the third and part of the majority back in the day. So I would say to keep things going the way they are, you would want to keep Roxy Rios. Precinct 4 is also running. So Precinct 4, you have a plethora of candidates. Now you have Dr. Alvarez. You had Rudy Villalpando no longer on board. You have who else do we have in that race? I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit of a blank here. Um, so two of the biggest ones you have there, of course, are the doctor, the dentist, and then you have Esquivel. I'm sorry, not Alvarez. It's Esquivel, and you have Anilu Morales Gonzalez, and I think that that race will probably go into a runoff. Um, and I think that a lot of people have been pushing. Oh, and you have Miss Garcia that's running as well. Unfortunately, I think that this will probably go into a runoff. My early predictions was that it was going to be a runoff between Anilu Morales Gonzalez, and it was going to be between Rudy Villalpando. Unfortunately, Rudy Villalpando is no longer on the ballot, so I do think that it's a strong possibility that there will be a runoff between Anilu Morales Gonzalez and Dr. Esquivel. We were trying to get an interview with Mr. Esquivel and we weren't able to. Of course, Miss Morales Gonzalez did show up on our podcast and was willing to get interviewed. She did answer some tough questions, so that's obviously a point for us, for them. But the thing that decides here for our rating is the alliance. The alliance where if Mr. Esquivel um, is being backed by Jerry Morales's campaign. And I'm not sure if they'll tell you that out in the blue, but you can see the way everything is kind of running is that the support is there. Now, the reason why we say that and we're bringing it up is again to point out that why the Jerry Morales campaign is not supporting his niece's campaign for Precinct 4. And that is something that you guys need to really ask yourselves and ask what is going on since they are not, since the Jerry Morales campaign has been actively not supporting Morales Gonzalez as commissioner for Precinct 4. That's something that needs to be on your minds. And why are you supporting, again, another candidate that isn't putting in the work? Um, now, you could vouch and say, we've seen Ms. Morales Gonzalez in the commissioners' court meetings. That's a plus. I think this will go to a runoff, and I think that that's more of a testament to Jerry Morales' system on hauling votes, because we saw that there was a limo. We saw that there was an illegal individual that was also running votes. And as soon as he got caught, he said, I'm working with Mr. Medina and the Jerry Morales campaign. So we know that Jerry Morales campaign seems to be using vote haulers to bring in votes. And I think that that is going to be a big determination in the precinct 4 race to going into a runoff. And that's going to be a very interesting runoff race. Just like I think the county judge may go into a runoff race. I think precinct one will also go into a runoff race. I think that county chair, I think that one's going to be decided right away. I think that district clerk, well, yeah, there can't be a runoff there. So that's going to be decided right away. Precinct two is going to be decided right away. So it's going to be interesting whenever we get down to it, guys. Election day tomorrow, March the 3rd, Tuesday. Again, we'll post those locations so you guys know where to go. We've given our recommendations. We've said our somewhat predictions to where we're going to see a runoff and where we're a little bit more than that. And then you have what I'm predicting about 1,500, no more than 2,000 votes for election day. So, given that, I think that we're going to be around 2,000, 2,500 less than we were 4 years ago. And I think that for all of you out there that visualize and take notice of this thing, I think that you guys should recognize that there is a low voter turnout. And again, that usually means that change is not necessarily a priority. Change is not something that the community wants. But then again, low voter turnout does give the advantage to the people that haul votes. Has been trying to do that as much as they can. Again, via limo, via the individual that was illegally in our country, and that's what we're seeing. But we're gonna find out tomorrow night. We are planning to have our election show like we usually do. We'll be there at the Maverick County Courthouse to give you every moment of news there with the results. Be sure to tune in to the Maverick Times. That one's going to be going live on Facebook solely. So tune in on Facebook. Um, and we'll be uploading it, the episode afterwards, because we will be doing or trying to do some interviews with the winners, with the losers, with the runoff candidates. So it's going to be very interesting, guys. You're going to want to tune in for that. That's going to start a little bit after we anticipate the election announcements of the winners and losers are going to be a lot quicker than they were before due to the new election machines that the county has secured through grant funding. So it should be a lot more expedited, a lot quicker to get to the results than you guys are previously having to wait hours and hours for these results. So that's one thing to watch out for, and we'll give you up to minute updates as soon as 5 o'clock afterwards, and then we're gonna go live a little bit after 7 to make sure that you guys are kept up to date with every moment of this big critical election in Maverick County in Eagle Pass. That's all the time we have for today. We thank y'all for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. We're going to be going live on Facebook. Guys, if you need to find usually the first one with the results posted and also live on Facebook. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is Isaac Reese. This was a Maverick Times podcast, episode number 83, our pre election show. Thanks, guys.